Perfect fit closets, how to use backs. We'll be talking about our applied back behind panels and verticals. We have two backs connected to fixed shelf and a standalone, and horizontal backs, both connect to fixed shelf or standalone. Let's talk about our applied back. I have a design. I've got our 2020 platform open with our Perfect Canada catalog. I've got elevation 1 on the left-hand side. And let's go ahead to our categories, modules, and let's left click a tall module, drag it into the elevation. Once I see my magnet, I'm going to let go of my mouse and a new dialog box appears. I'm going to right click the illustrations to see the textured lines. We have a current default of 83 and 15/16 height with one opening 14 inches deep and 24 inches wide. Majority of the closets that we supply our dealers are currently backless to save some cost for the end user. On my second row of applied back, instead of hitting no back, I'm going to hit 3/4 inch applied backing. If we take a look at these properties, I've got a back behind the verticals. If this is 14 inches deep, this is now going to be 14 inches deep interior, but overall 14 3/4. We're going to click on OK. We're going to drop it in, and let's click up and down and have this 0 inches from the bottom. We take a look at our top view. We've got an applied back from the outside to the outside, 25 1/4 with the inside properties of 24 inches. We have 14 inches deep, and then with our applied back, it is now 14 3/4. Let's try another tall module. Drag a tall module to my elevation. I see my magnet, drop it in. And this time, I'm going to make 2 openings. I'm going to have an applied back, and take a look very closely. We have from end to end, but right in the middle, it's right in the middle here. We're going to click on OK. We're going to drop it in. Now that it's dropped, same thing will apply. For designing purposes, to advise the installer, I would always try to get the measure. So now we can tell our installer that we have a inset or applied back from 25 1/8 from the middle of the panel to the end. And the same thing will apply here from the outside to the middle of the panel, 25 1/8. So they're both going to be the same. We can always change the different dimensions, the different widths, and have the applied back. I always recommend that if you're having an applied backing with multiple modules, to do one module with multiple openings. Therefore, the backing is gonna be in the middle of each panel as opposed to end and make some collisions. For a wall module, same thing will apply. We'll drag a wall module into place. I see my magnet, drop it in. And the same thing will apply. I can certainly hit a 3/4 inch applied backing, and it's behind the panels. Installers can use whatever type of method they want to install the backing. And the easy thing to do for a backing is to build this off the ground and off the wall on the ground, and screw the actual backing into the actual verticals by using a pilot hole and screwing it in. The next type of backing is inset backing. So we have back and horizontal backs. They're virtually one and the same. However, the reason why we have a regular back and a horizontal back is regarding grain direction. Regular backs have a vertical grain direction. So if you use a B and C method, if you have a TFL 2, 3, or 4 with wooden material, the wood grain direction is going to be vertical. For the horizontal back, if you choose to have this type of backing, you'll actually have the grain direction from left to right. On my elevation 2, we're going to drag a tall module, drag it in. Want to see my magnet, let go of my mouse. Right-click the illustration. We're going to have it backless, so no back. We're going to click on OK. And we're going to position this 0 inches from the bottom. And now we're going to grab into our categories, parts. And underneath the 5 categories, we have regular parts. And this is where you're going to find the back section. If I click back, connect to fixed shelf, I can drag it in and drop. We can see that we have triangles on each corner indicating we have an applied back. With this applied back, it's inset backing. So if we take a look at it overall, it's 14 inches deep, but the actual opening is only 13.25. If I want to have a 14-inch deep opening, I'm going to actually have to make the module 14.75. So let's try that again. Categories, modules, grab my tall module, drag it in into my elevation. Once I see my magnet, I'm going to let go of my mouse, right-click the illustration, click on OK, and we're going to drop. So that's 14 inches. So let's grow this. If we go back into our attributes, let's grow this by 3/4. Go into my variables and one opening. And underneath that, opening depth, we'll go to custom and we're going to change it to 14.75. Now that is 14.75, we can now go into our categories, parts, and check our back connect to fixed shelf, because it's connecting between 2 fixed points. And now we have an inset and my overall. So there's different ways that you can do it depending on the different depths and so forth. If you change one depth, make sure you change the modules for the other depths. Now this is a fixed shelf, or inset connect between fixed shelves. The other way that you can also do this, if I delete this back, I can also grab a part, shelves, shelf fixed. We can position this in the middle, or we can position this wherever we'd like, the actual part itself. So it doesn't matter where this fixed shelf is. Let's just drop it right here. And now we can go back into our parts, back connect to fixed shelf. And now I can create 2 sections like so. So this is our regular backs and the vertical grain direction. If I add a note on here, you could say that our back has vertical grain direction. It doesn't matter if it's going to be a solid color, but it more so applies to wood grain directions going up and down. We'll talk about back standalone in just a moment. The same thing will apply to our horizontal backs. So if we delete these regular backs, now we can click on our horizontal backs. Same thing will apply. I can easily do that. Now, because the grain direction has certain limitations, we have to indicate that the back, and this is going to be our vertical grain direction, has a max of 60 inches wide by 108 inches tall. For our horizontal backs, we have a horizontal grain direction. But this time we have a maximum of 60 inches tall by 108 inches wide. So it's reversed. So please take a note. For our backs, our vertical grain direction, we have 60 inches wide by 108 inches tall. But for our horizontal backs, so now we're flipping the board 90 degrees, we have a max of 60 inches tall by 108 wide. If we go ahead and delete these modules, we can quickly take a peek. If we grab a back standalone, we can drop it, go into our properties, and let's verify our maximums. Go into our attributes. Underneath our attributes, this is kind of where we change kind of all our dimensions on the height and width. So for height, we have a maximum of 108 inches tall. And then for a width, we have a total of 60 inches wide. Go any further than that. Now let's take a look at our horizontal back standalone. We'll just drop a horizontal back. And let's go into our properties and let's give it our max 60 inches tall and 180 inches wide. We're gonna have to manually take care of that, the width. Almost there. Sometimes it'll allow you to delete and add. Sometimes it'll allow you to do that. Okay, so the actual width is 80 inches, not 108. We'll click on OK. We'll click on 80 inches wide. Now what we'll do is we're going to move this down ever so slightly. And let's change these properties. We're going to go into features and options here. And let's change the entirety of our design. And let's have this so that it's a textured. So let's go to level 2. And let's change it to sheer beauty. We'll change everything to sheer beauty. And let's take a look at our grain direction. If we go into our perspective view, we'll zoom in onto wall number 2. We can see that all the actual existing modules are all set in vertical grain direction. If we take a look at our elevation 2, we have a regular back with our vertical grain direction, but our horizontal backing is now horizontal grain direction. So it really depends on the application and what you're trying to achieve. But for the most part, everybody will be using vertical grain directions. It's only in certain circumstances, or if the designer chooses to actually change up the symmetry of the design and so forth. So we wanted to give the option to our designers that you can flip it back and forth. Horizontal parts as well as regular back parts. These can all be used, especially standalone parts, for any parts that you might find necessary. Maybe you want to cap off a dead space. Maybe you want to make a media room and change the feng shui on the vertical and horizontal grain directions. It's really your choice. So we have 2 different sets. We have horizontal and regular backing. And if you have any questions, please do connect with us at support@perfectfitcanada.com.